Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube, you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this is my latest tutorial. This is how to make a stained glass window. I show you everything from start to finish, and our window is mounted in the wizard's lair. And notice real quick, above the sword there, you see that circle, the blue circle with the arches. In the wizard's lair, that symbolism is mimicked. See it? The ceiling has the circle with the arches, and it's the same thing in the window. And this is very important for the story. But let's take a quick look there. All those things are tutorials. Everything. The orrery on the table itself, the window, the map, the armor, the weapons, the books. It's all tutorials. Let's take one last look and notice the circle and the arches above the sword. And we'll launch into the tutorial on how to make it. Dioramas, origami, catapults, and treasure stays, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, model rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something. First thing I did was a bunch of drawings. How did I want my window to look? What shape was it? What size is it? You know, how does it? Is it arch? Is it square? Is it rectangular? What's it got? Keep it simple. And then I once I settled on a design, I made a larger one to the exact size of my window. Now, to do your work for stained glass, you need to frame that template in, because you're going to be sliding the glass pieces in here. So if you have a square or rectangular window you're making, that's very easy to do. My framing is a little bit more difficult because I have an arched window, but that's okay. Do a nice job. Keep your right angles right. Use a triangle if need be. And build yourself a little frame. You can buy really cheap aluminum rail. Stained glass places sell it. And use it over and over again for more windows. But take your time with this. It's important when it comes to the soldering and how your window looks. So, alright, you understand that. Let's move on and start cutting some glass. You're probably excited about this. Many glasses have two sides. See how I flip that over? And you can tell the difference. There's a front and a back to some of this glass. So be aware of that when you're making your piece. If you have two-sided glass, make sure you keep it all the same. You hear that? That's a nice cut. You can hear that grinding sound of the cutting wheel. And then pop, just like that. You've cut your first piece of glass. Nice and accurate. Look at that. So I did another cut. And my first piece of glass is done, and I like it. It fits on the template well. That's why we have our template all figured out for us. And you can cut like this too. See how that is? Look at that curve. So cutting glass is pretty easy. It takes a little bit of practice. But after you've cut a piece of glass and it's on your template right, we're going to do something called foiling it. This is a copper foil that has a paper backing on it. You peel off the paper backing, and the copper foil has adhesive. You place that centered all the way around the edge of the piece of glass. Center it nicely. It'll make a difference in how your soldering goes. And then use some kind of a tool to burnish it down so it adheres really well to the edge of that glass. It's for strength. And once you've got it wrapped all the way around, you can overlap it 1/4 of an inch, cut it, and then now wrap it over the surface of the glass. Just like that, all the way around. On this side, flip the glass over and do the other side too. Watch, I'm going to fold it right over. And there you go. So you finish your first piece of glass, put it into your jig. So we cut our second piece of glass, and I wanted to show you here a diamond grinder. Cost me $90. Really, really neat for getting pieces to fit just right, although it is optional. You do your next piece, cut it, foil it, fit it. Continue that process. Do another piece. Work from one corner out. Just keep putting in pieces. I didn't label that piece, so I didn't know which way was up. But see that? You're just going to make progress. I'll show you one more cutting of a piece here, and then we'll move on. It takes a little bit of confidence when you're cutting glass, but you'll get used to it quick. You'll just, there's a feel to it. You score it with your cutting tool and then snap it. This is hammered cathedral glass, it's called. I wanted specifically cathedral glass. So it's hammered on one side, so I'm always cutting on the side that's not hammered. Really much easier because the non-hammered side is flat. But there we go. Now if your glass is not transparent like mine, it makes it difficult to use the template like this. You can make template pieces and lay them on your glass. It's on my website. I show you how to do that. But continue that process and make all your pieces. Make sure they fit nicely. This one's a little snug, which is actually quite nice. But watch. I fit that piece in there. Look at that. See, now look how those seams are. That's what you want. Like that. Everything's nice and snug, no big gaps. Makes a big difference in how your stained glass windows, in the strength and in how it looks. So do all your pieces. I've completed all my pieces. The window is technically done in terms of all the glasses cut and foiled. So now we're going to solder. You're probably looking forward to this part. The first thing you do is apply flux to the joints, and we're going to just tack solder all the various joints. It's kind of holding everything together before we do all the actual soldering. So just like that, put a little tack there in that corner. Holds all those pieces together, and continue to do that on your whole work. Put a little tack, always fluxing first. So now all the pieces are held together, everything's actually soldered. It's one piece now. And we can move on to the soldering. And soldering is a function of a couple of things. One is a little bit of practice. Two is the gaps that you have between your pieces. But watch, you're not really applying the solder to the copper. You're applying it more to the soldering iron. You move your soldering iron and the copper along your soldering iron and the solder along the copper. And you're also feeding solder, and that's the real trick, is the feeding of the solder. Now right there, I just passed up a spot that needs more solder. You can go back and add more, but I don't show that in this video. But let's do another one. See? Now you want a nice bead. Take your time, you can go back a little bit, move forward to get a nice bead just like that. And we'll do one more, close up. Just a nice even bead of solder. You can go back and forward, you can pull it out, and that's that. So that's soldering. It's really not that hard. To get it to look good takes a little bit of practice. Once you do the whole window, you no longer have panes of glass, you no longer have pieces of glass, you have a pane of glass. Look at that, it's just amazing. Just can't get over that. So flip it over, and now we flux and solder the back. Or in my case, the front. So let's do the whole thing, and I won't show you too much of this. But watch how my right hand there is feeding the solder. That's the trick. You're moving both your hands along the copper, but your hand holding the solder also has to move forward to continue to feed solder. That's it. Do the whole window. Clean up anything needs cleaning up. You can flip it over again. Clean up some more till you're happy with it. So the window's done. Now we're going to frame it in something called zinc cane. And this is specially made for stained glass. It slides onto, as if it was some kind of a edge. It's an edging. It slides onto the glass and holds it. So you measure and cut some pieces to go all the way around your piece. Cut them at angles as needed. And they also make this in lead. So you could do lead if you wanted, which is easy to mold. And then solder it. And this will make your piece much, much stronger and frameable. So now from here you could frame this in wood. I'm actually This is for the Wizard's Lair, so I don't really need to frame it in wood. I actually framed it in foam. I cut myself foam pieces and installed it with that, which is good for a movie set, right? A YouTube video set. That's it. Clean it all up. Clean up that glass. Clean up all the flux and LMS, and your stained glass window was done. See, the zinc came around the edges there. So I used my template to measure out a hole in the Wizard's Lair. Cut out that hole. Cut out that 2x4. And installed the window and added the foam. Painted it stone colored, so the window sash and sill is stone. And that's it. You have made a stained glass window. If you make stained glass, send me some pictures. I'd love to see it. Let me know what you think about the Wizard's Lair, what you think about stained glass. Hit that subscribe button. I got 700 videos and more coming. Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button. I always have lots of fun and interesting and very creative projects. I do 2 new ones every week. As an example, here's a couple more videos you might want to watch.